The SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the 80 right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. And we are going to take a look back at all the action over the week as the leagues in the west of Scotland reach a penultimate stage. We're getting closer to the end of the season. Thank you to our sponsors, Green Versity Renewables and Indigo Unified Communications, for the support with our coverage. And another show in the bag today. So we're going to take a look at one of the first teams promoted. It is a pleasure to welcome the manager of Port Glasgow Juniors, Tam Jamieson.
Scott, how's it going? Cheers
I'm
for
very
having me, mate.
pleasure, mate. I'm looking forward to this. And first of all, congratulations. Back in the third division. First time
Thank you.
asking.
Cheers.
How big is it to wrap it up? And like, I would imagine you want to be higher. You want to this will be like, well, we're going up, but we want to go further. I understand that, but just getting that promotion after relegation, how big is that just to get that first kind of hurdle done?
Obviously after last year's disappointment of getting relegated, that was always our main aim, was just to get back up into third division. Whether it's winning or just being promoted, that was always that was the biggest aim at the start of the season. So to achieve it with a few games to spares, spot on. So it wasn't it first time asking. It was good to get it done. So happy, delighted.
Like, I've spoken about this a lot, particularly to people that, and I think there's a lot of clubs in this position at the moment. Like, I would consider Port Glasgow to be an old school junior club, right? They're still obviously got a junior name in it, but like
Uh-huh.
when you think of the juniors, I'd say Port Glasgow are one of the teams you would think of. They're kind of in their own bit, like obviously part of Inverclyde. Like, no many teams round about them. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot
Aye.
of people who gravitate towards Port Glasgow for obvious reasons,
Uh-huh.
but like last season, for example, just going down. Obviously, last season the points deduction, I imagine, would have been a big thing as well. You would have stayed up with that without that points deduction.
Aye, that was a sickener. See, in
Aye.
fairness, the way it kind of came about, obviously it was Kilsyth. We beat Kilsyth. I think it was 4-3 at home, or 5-4. And then to find out the following week that one of our players we knew he had been sent off against the Vale leaving, but it was 2 yellows and a red. So the way it worked was he served his ban, and then he went over the card threshold for the yellow card threshold, and I'm led to believe they changed it from 9 games or 11 games to 10 games. So the way it worked, it was he had picked up another match suspension. And see, the thing is, it came on the last 5 minutes. And literally, never even started the game. It came on, probably got about 2 touches of the ball, and then it'd be fine out kind of a week later that you're getting in fairness, we were kind of struggling to get wins at that point. So that was a really good win to get, and then it just kind of deflates everybody again, you know. So we've made sure that that's not happening again this year. Let's just say that, Scott. So it is that.
And the reason I kind of bring that up in terms of like the region is the way the kind of west of Scotland has went in terms of the pyramid system. Like, I think the conference was quite good in terms of like, a lot of clubs found their level, and I think it is beginning to shape up. But when you go down to the fourth division, you've got clubs kind of coming down, maybe hit a wee kind of sticky spell, and you've got obviously clubs with a lot of ambition coming up as well. So it makes for a really good league. How have you found that kind of mix between like Kello coming down with you as well, Carluke probably in that mix where
Yeah.
teams that have been established for a long time, maybe reaching that level where they don't want to be, and then they're eager to try and go up. And then you've got the likes of Knightswood, Easterhouse, Eglinton, all making their first steps in this pyramid and trying to push up. Like, it makes for a really good competitive league.
Aye, see, the thing is, see, the unknown ones, and it's no disrespect to, like, see, your Eglinton's and your Easter houses and stuff, even Knightswood to an extent.
Mhm.
I know that they were a big amateur club, but coming into the leagues it's a big difference. We
Mhm.
went down to the fourth division and we knew nothing about nobody. West Park, Kello, that's probably two we only.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, what we're going to get, what we're going to get with Knightswood, what we're going to get with Campbelltown, Easterhouse, and Eglinton. So you're looking about, but you knew Royal Albert, you knew Carluke, who again you'll classify as old juniors, old junior clubs. So you can always know what you're getting. But for that long to reach the bottom was kind of, we just thought our biggest thing is just to get out of it by hook or crook.
Yeah.
We'll take just each game as it comes. And in fairness, we're still kind of doing that now, 27 games in, just taking that a game at a time and trying to get as many points as possible. So it was,
And last season, I remember speaking to Alex McWaters at Glenafton, actually, and you can just tell he's got a really good mind for the game as well. How important has he been to kind of helping you out? And I'll get into some other kind of experienced players in a minute, but Alex McWaters obviously is the one that has been, I'd imagine, been a massive help to you in terms of you coming into the club and you taking over the management post. And how big has he been on the park and off the park towards you?
see, I've known Alex since he was a young boy.
Hmm.
Obviously, when I played, he was kind of coming through at his boys' club. And then obviously I know his dad very well as my
Right, okay.
assistant. But we Alex came on, he's really mature. He's mature to be immature, if you like. Football wise, the wee man's brilliant. He's been great for us all season. And to get him in, I think to get him in at the start of this year was a big one because obviously he played with Glenafton in the top league and he's played with, listen, he's been in the top league for years.
Yeah.
And to get him in, it kind of gave us a wee, well, this is where we're going. This is the guys we're signing. This is the way we're going to move forward, is by signing guys like him. And listen, the B man's been great on the park, off the park. He's a menace to people. He's a good menace though. Uh, he's mature, but he's got a wee kind of a wee side where he roasts people and bams people up, and he's good for the dressing room. So on and off, the wee man's been brilliant, and he's had a really good season. He's had a really
Yeah.
really good season in fairness.
Another player I wanted to mention is somebody I've spoken to a couple of times, and obviously his track record's well documented. Kind of Chris Miller coming in as well. Like it's no very often a Scottish Cup winner's going to play in the fourth division. It's probably, I think we'll probably never. I don't think we'll see it many times. But how how did that move come about? Because obviously Chris had been at Kilwinning and Troon, and obviously you'd heard he was going down to Port Glasgow, and it was an interesting move. But the experience he has as well, when you can tell by speaking to him, he wants to play for as long as he can, and he's still like you see the he's in tremendous shape as a for
Yeah.
his age. How big is he to have as well, just for like the young players coming in, and in terms of his experience as well, because you can't, like as I say, especially in that level, you can't buy experience like that.
No, I know. It's Midge is one. Me and Midge have been pals for what 42. We've been pals for 30 years.
Hmm.
We actually go back to boys' club,
Right. Okay.
right up to we're 7, 8 years of age. So we've always kind of kept in touch. Obviously, he went with Morton, with Celtic, Morton, and then obviously St Johnstone. But uh, obviously, Midge's got he's now got his own gym and stuff. So the way it came about is I did a bit of work in his gym,
Right.
um,
Okay.
and we kind of I believe Stevie tried to get him in at the start of the year. Obviously, went last year, and I think he went to co-winning.
Yeah.
But so I managed to get him in for the last, I think it was the last 7 or 8 games, and it was brilliant. It was a favour. I'm not going to lie, it was a favour. It's one you call upon, and you kind of come in and help us out, help the team out. We're kind of where we are. We need experience, and he came in. He was brilliant. And for this year, the biggest thing last year was to get him enjoying it. Listen, he's
Hmm.
a Port boy. He's born and bred in the Port. That's his roots. And obviously, we played with the Port, came back as a juvenile at a boys' club. So it was obviously, man, listen, get back and play for your local team. And and kind of help us out a wee bit, give something back. But it was always on evidence of trying to get him to stay for this year. Last year we were as good as down when he came in, and that's no. But we wanted him to come in and set standards, which we're maybe missing a wee bit at Port. They kind of lacked a wee bit. But he's come in, he's been great. He's been superb. I always say he's a glue to a kind of team. I feel as if when he doesn't play, you kind of notice we kind of lose our shape. He kind of holds everything together. But for the career he's had, as you say, to be now playing the 4th division, we're delighted to have him. And he's in great nick. Listen, he's still fit. He's doing a lot of stuff through his gym and stuff as well. So if we can hold on to him again for next year, we'd be delighted. But again, that's probably a conversation for a later date. So it is. But fingers crossed we can get him to stay again for another year, because it's no fitness. His fitness is
you can see that.
Fitness is top notch, and what he passes on to young boys is. I say it a lot of young boys, because we are a young team, and a lot of them will they don't take criticism well, and Midge quite hard on them. But I always say, see a day he's not here's the day you go, where's Midge? I still listen to what he was saying, and it's just take everything on board from him. He played at that level for a reason. He's won all the leagues, I think, bar the Premier League.
Yeah.
So he has. So he's done everything in Scotland bar that, but his pedigree is great, and we just want to keep him. We want to keep him. He's picked up wee niggles here and there this season, just due to his age. His recovery is you don't recover as quick. But if we can keep him next year, then we'd be delighted with that. So for his experience.
And like Dylan McLaughlin and Sean Rogers, obviously 37 goals between them in all competitions as well. Like, I remember when first hearing that Dylan was there, and I was like, that's a big move, and like, obviously a big player to get in. And Sean's obviously another one you hear a lot about over the years. Just a really, really like talented player. Obviously, he'd been at St Cadoc's as well. Like, those are two players who are very, very good, and like have got a wealthy experience and come in. And how big have they been, not just in terms of goals tally, but just driving standards, as you say?
Aye, listen, again, I played with Dylan at Greenock Juniors, so Dylan's only 30. Listen, we got him in last year. Again, the last 3 months from Glasgow United.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Dylan in, and right away at Les Mahigo, he banged two in, scored a pen, scored a free kick, and then he kind of lulled a wee bit. Obviously, but this season he's come back flying, and as you say, his goals speak for themselves. The wee man's a pest, literally. He's a pest to play against. It doesn't give you a second. And listen, other than his 20, I think he's 20, 21 goals, 24 goals, he contributes a lot more than that as well. Again, he's another one, can play off the left, can play through the middle, can play off the right. He's just, listen, he's a good talent as well. And on to Sean's a strange one. We get Sean in at the start of the year, and then I think his first session, we actually trained, it was a Saturday morning, and he rolled his ankle, and then he was in a boot for 12 weeks. So we literally got him for 20 minutes, and then I think the first game we got him back was Easter House away. And again, he came through at Morton, East Kilbride, St Cadoc's. And Sean will not mind me saying this, he's probably not played as much as he should have at his clubs, because again, I watched him at Morton at the time, and he was very, very good. Mm-hmm. He's a young boy, he still is, he's only 23, I think. But he's come in, and the wee man's, he's frightening. We just had a chat after training tonight with him as well, and he's one that he drives everything. He's quiet, but it drives standards, and his expectation levels are so high that it kind of rubs off on people as well. He's scored, I think we spoke tonight, 19, 20 goals. But he's probably made 19, 20. No harm. He's probably, the chances he creates for himself and the team's amazing. And that's just two. That's just two of the front five that we've kind of relied on this year. And as you'll probably go and speak about in that a little bit, Bishon's been amazing. And again, if we can keep him and Dylan next year going into Division 3, then again, we'll create chances and we'll score goals. So we will.
Yeah, and like Aidan Duffy, Kenny Mearns as well. Like, again, a lot of players who, like, obviously Aidan coming for, Kenny's been at the level a long time as well. But you look at a lot of the games you've had this season, and the one thing that screams is goals. I mean, I think he's the only game I can see so far that you haven't scored in was the game against Maryhill. I think it's the only game, the Knightswood game, 2 games out of the whole season in all competitions you haven't scored is against Maryhill and Knightswood. Like, it shows a tremendous record this season in terms of goals as well. And I know people say, like, goals win games, but, like, you look at the amount of talent you have and, like, to get that and to get a balance in your side as well. Like, we're obviously kind of doing team of the season and we're looking at stats and looking at kind of records as well. We're just doing really solid all over the park. I think that's the one impressive thing that I've looked at as well. Is just that, you're scoring a lot of goals. They aren't conceding a lot though, either.
I think I've conceded 38 or something. I think to be honest, Scott, at the start of the season we couldn't pick a settled back 4, and literally last season, when, as I say, when doing last season, I don't want to keep going back to that, but we never conceded a lot. We got to a stage where we were conceding 1, maybe 2, but we never created the chances last year. We didn't have Sean, Dylan, Aidan, Jack Purdue, Alec. We never had these guys. And they aren't the guys that were there. Dylan kind of pulled us along, and we kind of relied on Dylan a lot, which wasn't fair. And now this season, we're not relying on Dylan, and he's probably a wee bit more relaxed, and it shows with his kind of goal return. But our goals are high. I know people say it's the 4th division, but to score over 100 goals is at any level in the West, and the West is very, very good. Listen, we never had that aim at the start of the year, but it'll certainly be our aim for next year to get 100 goal mark again. The boys will be getting told that.
I mean, he's a top goal scorers in the region by 20 goals. I think Thorn on 85. I think, like, 20 goals ahead of them. Like, that's an incredible tally.
We always say we'll score goals, we'll create chances, but my biggest Achilles heel at the start of the year was we couldn't keep the ball at the net. It was literally, we conceded 4 at Knightswood, conceded 4 at Easterhouse, conceded 4 in the Cup at West Park, conceded 3 at Kello. I can get back 6 against Kilsyth. But we've got to a stage now where we're getting it down to 0 and 1 most weeks. All right, maybe odd week we concede 2, but so we're pretty solid. We're pretty solid there. But listen, you don't want to concede any. Come the weekend, you want to score as many as possible. But everybody's the same, so we'll take what we've got just now, and 3 clean sheets for the rest of the next 3 games. We'll be delighted, because if we keep 3 clean sheets, we should win. On the low averages, we've not scored against Knightswood and Maryhill. So,
And I know promotion's in the bag, and a lot of, like, when you've got that kind of 3 up, 3 down, I think a lot of people do have that mindset as the hard bit's done. But I'd imagine winning a league title will be more important than getting promoted. I imagine getting a trophy at the end of the season would be the kind of the main prize. And, like, Knightswood have obviously been flying this season. Like, they've been really impressive, and it's been kind of neck and neck. But, like, how, like, a point between you now with 3, you have obviously got the kind of goal difference if it was to come to that. Like, 3 games, how kind of big would that feel to wrap that up and get a trophy to show for it as well? I know promotion's guaranteed, but getting a trophy at the end, how would that feel?
A winner's medal's always good, and a couple of the last day of the season's always good. But listen, we'll not disrespect Knightswood. We've chased them all year. They've sat at the top all year, and fair play to them. But at times when we kind of felt they drop points, we drop points, and they beat us at home. I think we were 7 points then behind. And I'll be honest, people probably thought it was done and dusted. And then they go and they lose to Royal Albert the following week. And I think they've dropped since they beat us the second time there, they've probably dropped more points than they could have imagined. But we'll just keep making it difficult for them. I mean, they've got a good squad up there, but they've got a wealth of experience with Dan Miller, Boy Gordon, and there's a few Coogans and Kenny Marshall and stuff. So they're a good outfit, but they know we're there. We've not went away, and Nehan, we're still not away yet, and we don't plan on going away. So we don't. So we're still chasing it, but we'll chase it to the last game. We'll chase it until the 17th of May if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
But again, if they win it, hats off to them, because they'll be feeling the pressure. I know they will, but up and now they've handled it well.
And that's it as well. And that is what you're beginning to see. We've seen it with Thorn. We're probably going to see it again in the future. But you're only going up next season and just being like, oh, we're just looking to stay up. I'm not speaking to Michael as well at Knightswood. I know you'll have ambitions to go up the leagues further. That's kind of what's impressing me about a lot of clubs is there's ambition there. It's we can go up and do well. I think there's a lot of clubs, and I think Port Glasgow, just obviously with the experience you have and how well you have done this season, you must be thinking we can go up next season again. I know it's obviously you wouldn't say it publicly, you wouldn't be arrogant and say that, but you must have that kind of hope next season that if we get maybe sort a couple of things out, we can go again and give it a go.
Definitely. See, the thing is, when we went in last year, we always says until we were relegated again, which took probably the last game of the season, no matter what league we were in, we were going to get our own players in.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to get our own squad, and our ambition was always it was the third or the fourth. We wanted to get out of the leagues. So the fact it was a fourth one out, we want to get out of the league next year. Again, we'll give it our best shot. We'll recruit it in the summer as well. We know where we need to strengthen, so we'll look to strengthen in the summer. And we'll be looking probably to do what Thorn are doing and be a good push next year as well. Most definitely, aye.
And we'll start with the fourth division actually this week because obviously you beat Kello at the weekend. Easterhouse won, so there is one spot up for grabs in terms of promotion. Despite obviously losing the weekend, Kello I would say still are in the driving seat. They've obviously got games in hand in Easterhouse. I wouldn't say Rossvale and Eglinton are out of it at all. If I was to ask you who out the four teams you've seen, who would be most likely to go up at the moment, do you think?
Most likely. Again, I think Kello have still to play Rossvale, eh?
Yes,
Am I right in maybe saying twice with that? Is it twice maybe?
Yes, they do.
Play them?
Yeah, they do. And they play St Peters twice as well.
Don't get me wrong, I'm just looking at it. I was impressed. I thought that everybody this year, I was really impressed with Rossvale and Easterhouse. Taking nothing Knightswood, they're above us, so they're already up. But I was really impressed with Easterhouse and Rossvale. Easterhouse were one of the teams where I think up there we created so many chances and I think we were 3-0 down at half time and I don't know how it happened. Then we came out and we went 4-3 up and then they scored with the last kick of the ball and for me that shows what they were all about. And then we done the same to them at Bartley. So if I had to pick, I would say Kello, but just for where they are and I was impressed with them on Saturday. They're big, physical, they're strong. I am going to change my mind again probably, but if I had to stick my neck out, I would say Kello. I think will get third spot. I think they will.
And other kind of teams in the league, I think there's a lot of teams in here. I say this a lot. There's a lot of teams in here who next season I think are going to be serious threats. Royal Albert obviously as well. St Peters I think will be very good. Giffnock I think are doing really well at the moment. Who else in the kind of league have you been impressed with and you think maybe we are pre-season and a settled squad going into next season can be promotion contenders next year?
In all honesty, I think Eglinton are only missing a couple of wee things. When we played them down there, 4-1, but they're probably just missing a wee bit up top. They get into the final third and then again it's no harm to Eglinton, and I'm not disrespecting them, but I think if they get a good centre forward, then they do everything so well, but they just not got that wee maybe cutting edge, at the top of the pitch. And listen, if Rossfield don't come up, Josh has got them. Listen, they play good football, and he'll not be happy with me picking Kello here, but they're another good side. And listen, we play them in 2 weeks, so. But I like Rossfield. I think, honestly, I think they might win it out of park if they don't come up this year. I think they'll win it out of park this year if they don't come up. So it is so, because they've got the makings of something really good there.
Yeah.
Josh does all the right things. He plays the right way. He doesn't change his style. He's got a style and he'll stay with it. So he does. And he'll come up good with it. He'll definitely will. So,
yeah. He's very, I've always been impressed with the way he's speaking to him as well and seeing his teams. He is very, very good at a kind of settled style of play, and it works. And I think with a couple of kind of additions, I think they'll be pretty good next season. We are recording this just after the Wednesday night game, so we'll be able to talk about them. Largs and Johnson Borough, I nearly said Largs and St Johnson. Largs and Johnson Borough both beat. I'd imagine they might have a game in mind at the weekend. Not saying too much other than that. I just think the league season's practically they're going to finish probably where they are. They're focused on the second leg of the cup semi-final. Largs have the advantage, obviously, 1-1 on Saturday. The semi-final of the Junior Cup. Obviously, they play each other. Apparently, it's meant to be this 18th of May, but I'd imagine obviously Largs will have one eye on the final on Saturday against Auchinleck, Sunday against Auchinleck, and Johnston will probably be kind of already looking at kind of keeping players. They've got obviously the squad to do this, but they will be probably looking at their next game, their big game, which is a final. I know they've still got 7 league games to play, and they play each other in the league as well, but they'll have half an eye on that other game coming up.
Aye, definitely. Listen, I've been very impressed with Largs this year.
Yeah.
Arnie doesn't carry a big squad as well, so he's listen, and again, he always punches above his weight a bit here because again, they're fit, they're strong, and he gets the right players in. Over the course of that, I would probably tip Largs to. I'd probably tip Largs to go and kind of win that. Johnston Borough. Listen, they've got the luxury of signing basically any player they want right now, for the whatever reasons. But listen, Largs are a good strong team, if you like. I would fancy them. Don't get me wrong, the firepower Johnston Borough's got. Listen, they're capable of beating anybody. So they are, but Largs are looking good. Largs are looking good. So they are. And to be honest, I've obviously for playing from Largs, I've still got a bit of a soft spot for them, so I watch out for them a lot. So I don't think I could go any other way than Largs, to be honest, Scott.
The other, obviously, semi-final, Drumchapel play Trinent on Saturday as well. Then that's obviously the first leg's at Trinent, and the second leg's the week after. Weird how there's a week between Drumchapel's semi-final and a month between Johnson and Larg. That's just a weird how that's come about.
I don't get it either. I know they've got a few games to play.
Somebody can maybe confirm that, why that's the case, but I'm absolutely baffled that's the case. But it'd obviously be good for the West if Drumchapel did against Trinent. Very, very tough side. Trinent, obviously, they've got a new management team. It's going to be a tough ask, but Adam's got a really good side there, and Adam will be really eager to get something get some kind of trophy in there as well.
Definitely, aye, and a big good a kind of all-West final, if you like, as well. That would be good for the West. That would.
At the moment, at time of recording, Auchinleck had drawn 1-1 with Drumchapel. Into the games on Tuesday, Troon had beat Darvel 2-0, just again cements the excellent season Troon have had. Probably the big result of the weekend, obviously, of the whole week was Shots are out the relegation zone. They won 4-0 against Johnson Borough. Cumnock, I think, are safe now. I think Cumnock are solid. They had a big result at the weekend as well. And looking at that kind of bottom of the table, like that shot's again massive. See, if John was to secure safety, I think he deserves a ton of credit anyway for just being in
Aye,
a fight there. But if he's able to keep them up, that's a massive accomplishment for him.
aye. Listen, they're the kind of surprise shots that where they are kind of just new. They, they're a good outfit. For whatever reason, I don't know what's going to happen, but they are one that you always kind of look at. They're a big club. They're a big club, and they should be kind of pushing to the middle to top half of that league as well. So they should. But again, with the resources everybody else has got, it's difficult. You know, it's difficult to kind of compete with that at times, as you'll know. But no, they're surprising where they're sitting just now. But I think they'll have enough to. I think they'll have enough to get out. Hopefully, really will.
Into the first division, another, like, again, we're just recording this. Rutherglen have just beaten Thornywood 3-2. Atherley have beaten Blantyre 8-0. It looks St Roch's are not out of it at all, I don't think. But I would say a 5-horse race for 3 spots at the top of the first division.
Aye, that's always a tight league.
Oh,
That's probably the
unbelievable.
tightest league of them all. Aye, that's a really good one. There's so many teams, they all beat each other. So they're doing, aye, that's a proper good league. So it is. You take your pick from any 5 of them who'll go in, so you can. I wouldn't like to bet against anybody.
No. I wouldn't rule out Thornywood, to be fair. Like, I think they had to win tonight, I think, to be definitely in the running. They could still go on a massive run, but they would need a massive run. Like, they can't afford to slip up. With the games Atherley have got in hand, Renfrew and the Buffs have got the points in the bag. It's going to make for a really, like, interesting end to the season. Looking at the kind of other end of the table, big win for Kilbirnie.
Yep.
1-4-2 at home to Thornywood. They needed that badly, I think.
Again, they kind of started well, Kilbirnie, and I don't know what happened to them through the season, but obviously there's a few local boys from us that play, young Danny Bamford, really good player as well. I'm sure he's a captain, and I speak to him a lot, and I don't know what's happened with him. Really surprising, again, where they're sitting. Probably same with the Meda and stuff, but the Meda have picked up. They've picked up a lot of points in recent weeks, so you knew they would get. They always had enough to get away from the bottom of the table. But with Kilbirnie are a big club that will probably think they should be playing in the top league, so they should. They'll back themselves, but they just need to get the right kind of resources and stuff to get back up there and get back into top league spot.
No, I'd absolutely agree with that. Again, a big club, a lot of big clubs in that league who I think, like, Meadow are probably in this bracket as well. Season with the right recruitment, I think they'll be very, very interested to see how they got on next season. Into the second division, the way the kind of league has went as well, Whitlets and Neilston both losing at the weekend. Neilston obviously losing 2-1 at home to Muirkirk. Muirkirk have got games in hand. I think they look to be in the driving seat for the title now.
Aye. Well, we played Whitlets in the cup. We beat Whitlets in the cup, and again, they're big and physical. I know they've kind of changed managers and stuff, but Muirkirk was kind of surprised a wee bit. I was surprised with how well they had done, but they've just kind of kept rolling forward. And I think you're right. I think they'll edge it. I think they'll edge it because Whitlets, again, they've went with a lot of players. They've went through a lot of players, maybe past 18 months to a year. It's kind of Muirkirk, they're probably on the way up. They'll just keep going and going. And a surprise, but I'd fancy them. They've been up there all year. Muirkirk have been up there all year, so you probably need to tip them to go and definitely go up anyway. So you would.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say Lanark are out of it. I wouldn't. Lanark maybe on the out of it either. The way the season's going, Whitlets have got the points. Neilston have got the points as well. It just obviously is going to be interesting to see how it goes. Big kind of games at the weekend as well. Like Muirkirk at home to Yoker, Whittle, they're all at home at the weekend. So like Lanark as well away. So very interesting games. Other kind of teams as well. Maryhill, Bonnet and Bells Hill all winning. Like at the bottom of the table as well. Caledonian drew 3-3 with Les Mahago. I am very intrigued to see what's going to happen here. Obviously, Forth have got the games in hand. Forth have got basically Saturday, Wednesday now. So that's a wee interesting kind of end to that season at the bottom. Forth, I think, will be looking at their kind of games coming up. They play Bonnet and they play Les Mahago and play Craigmilk. They've got 3 home games in the next 3 games. And they need to win at least 2 of them, I think, to really have a chance.
Aye, no, definitely. Again, I seen that Forth had maybe they got 6 or 7 left or something. They've got, or maybe even more than that.
6, I think.
Aye, and surely they've got enough to 6 games. You're looking to pick up probably 9, 10 points out of that. It'll be enough to kind of keep them.
I think they need at least.
Up,
yeah, I think they need to be. I think if you're 6 games, I think you need to have a positive record. I think in those games to stay up.
Aye, no, definitely. Even with being down there, they'll be looking a wee win kind of kicks them on again. So I'll be surprised if they come down. Aye, I'll be surprised if they get in. But they've got it all to do, I suppose, haven't they? They've got the games there right enough. They've got the time. So it's just whether they can pull it out of the hat, if you like. You know what it is.
Absolutely. We'll move into the 3rd division. Thorncliffe's promotion at the weekend. 4 goals to Nathan McClelland and a 5-0 away win at Wishaw. Who joins them? Because I think it was quite an interesting weekend. Kilsyth are flying, beat Ardea 4-1. Thrieve, they won as well. They beat Lugar 4-2. Greenock had a bad result. 4-1 they get beat at home for Fanat. That's, especially with the teams round about you winning, like Thrieve and Kilsyth. That's a massive slip up for Greenock. And I imagine that'll be obviously I'd imagine you'd have an eye on what Greenock are doing. I'm quite surprised at that one.
Aye, same. Do you know, see when I seen it on Saturday night, I thought, because I knew they play Fanat twice. I know they play Fanat home and away, and I was at home, especially to see. I was shocked when I seen that result, because Gary's had them well organised.
Yeah.
Gary Fleming's had them really, really well organised, and for a stage they were doing very well. But again, they had a wee lull where they're struggling to get a win. They were struggling to, and I think that they beat Ardea a couple of weeks ago. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
But that'll be a sore one for them because they've been up there all year, and if they miss out on it, as a club they'll be gutted. I know Gary will be gutted. Maybe not so much us because it means we get a derby next year. But no, listen. On a serious note, there, you're not they're good enough to go up. You know that, but it kind of looks as if they're doing everything not to go up. Kind of, if you like.
I think it's 2 wins for the last 9. 2 wins for the last 9 games. I think.
Aye. That's not kind of promotion kind of.
Nah, and especially as you say, the start they had and the kind of run they were on at the season, like that, they had an unbelievable run. I think they lost a game for a couple of months, and then they go on that run. It's absolutely the wrong time. Thrieve will get the games in hand. Ardea will probably need a slip up at least. I think both Ardea and Greenock will probably need a slip up. Thrieve, I think, can just go on a run. Like they do have the quality. You've seen that. Like they do have the ability to go on a run. I think. Other end of the table though, Wishaw, I think they're confirmed to be down.
They're down,
and you've got Vela leaving, Irvine Vicks, Glasgow United. Glasgow United still get 8 games to play. Looking at the kind of bottom end of the table, there's a lot of big clubs in there.
I know, and I know you mentioned Glasgow United there. I mean, obviously they've got Goody and stuff up there in Templeton, so they'll have enough to get out of that. They've got to have enough to get out of that. I was really impressed with them last year, Glasgow United. Again, I'll be surprised if they come down. I'll be very, very surprised if they get down. But obviously, Vale leaving, they've kind of been there. And again, with resources wise and stuff, they kind of, it's a struggle for them to get players. They rely on the 20s a lot as well. And Irvine Vicks
they've won the last 4 Irvine Vicks.
I know, and I've seen. Obviously, I had a wee spell at them for 6 months as well, and I like to see them do well. I've done a wee bit of coaching down there, but it's good to see him picking up results. That's a good old junior ground. Urban Vic's it's a good old kind of, you go there and it's got a junior feeling about it. So it has. So hopefully they stay and we can get a couple of games against them next year.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't pick who would come down. They're even again they don't score a lot of goals, but they don't concede a lot of goals
Yeah, they're solid.
either.
Aye.
So they're pretty steady, but I don't think Glasgow United will go down. I say they've got too much firepower to. They have I think if you look, they just probably scored 20 plus goals already.
Mm-hmm.
As well to be sitting third, fourth bottom. So, but they've got games. They've got games, so they'll pull their cell at it. So they will. Oh, I'd imagine.
I just wanted a quick, what your thoughts were on kind of way a certain team in the fourth division and their kind of fixtures have worked out. Campbelltown obviously went to Newmains on Saturday and
Yeah.
lost 1-0, and then they hosted Giffnock the next day and they lost 2-0 there. But they need to do it again on the 10th of May. They host Newmains and then go to Royal Albert on the 11th. Like, of all the teams in the west of Scotland, like to me, like that's how that's come about. I don't know how you can have the team that's furthest away out of anyone doing a kind of round trip in 2 days twice.
I
Like,
know. Well, we actually spoke to them last week and they told us this. I thought it was an error, and I'm like, you just play Saturday and Sunday, and he's like, he says, he says, see, for them to travel during the week, it's impossible.
I know.
And then it's a camel ride. You know what I mean? It's a camel ride to Campbelltown for anybody. So for them to be doing that every second week, so where they're kind of sitting now, they're probably just looking to get the games played.
Right.
So they are. So I think that's the kind of thinking behind it. Just to save us going to Tuesday, Wednesday night, just play Saturday, Sunday. So it was just to kind of get the games played and get it done effectively.
Right.
Oh,
And
it's surprising, right enough. So
that is
I
the
mean, it
thing as
was.
well. Aye, that is the thing as well. When you like, obviously they're a really welcome addition to the level, and you hope again it's not something that they're affected by. But like, you do take into account as well, like kind of boys working. Like it's really
It's incredible.
there's no
Aye.
chance. They've no chance of doing it at midweek. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think I've been to Campbelltown once in my life, but I mean, it's not a journey you want to do Saturday. Do you know what I mean? It's not a journey you could do 2 days in a row. Do you know what I mean? It's a
And
very tough one, but
aye, I mean, it was a good one for us. Obviously, it was the day we get promoted and stuff. But
aye,
I wouldn't fancy getting up there and losing, and then having a bus journey like that home.
I know.
So, but no, listen, it's as you say, they're a welcome addition. But
Yeah,
realistically, it's going to be difficult for them travelling. I mean, even to us to Suncoats to Royal Albert to Knightswood, man, it must rack your brain, man. It must be horrific. So it must. Um, but no, fair play to them for doing it. Fair play, Scott, for them keeping going, and you
definitely.
know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just obviously looking at the weekend. We mentioned Lag, and Lech in the West of Scotland final as well. We'll do a wee kind of analysis on that next week when we look at
Yep.
the review. Looking at some of the games, obviously at the weekend. I'm trying to look for the games that are quite important. Obviously, Darvel Benburb sticks out in the Premier Division. That's a 6 pointer, I would
Aye,
say, for both teams. Looking in the first division as well, Arvin Meadow Atherley could be quite interesting at both sides. St Roch's Burnley as well. Thornleywood Kilwinning sticks out. Second division, we obviously said Mary Hill Larkhall could be quite interesting. You've got Kilsyth Les Mahago. Third division, Dalry Greenock, I would say, is an interesting game. Fanart Glasgow United. I would say as well, Vale even Girvan is quite interesting. Girvan, I would say, are probably good at this point, but Vale even if they win that, could bring them back in.
yeah,
And then fourth division, obviously Port Glasgow go to Newmains. And then looking at kind of the other games, Easterhouse go to BSC Glasgow. I think a very interesting game between St Peters and Kello. Like, that's a big one
aye,
because you would fancy Easterhouse, no disrespect to BSC, but you'd fancy Easterhouse to beat
aye,
BSC. So Kello really need to get something at St Peters just to avoid coming further back.
yes. Again, with St Peters have got what 2 or 3 left, and I'm not saying a bit this season done by any means, but Kello have got a lot to play for. And listen, Kenny's done a great job at St Peters as well. I was impressed with him when we went up there for quite a young team, but I think Kello just might be too strong for them. So I might, again, for what's at stake for Kello, they'll definitely get a go. They definitely, but St Peters have picked up points. You know, they've picked up a couple of decent performances the last few weeks. So again, Kenny will not like me saying it, but I think Kello might just have a wee bit too much for them. So they might.
Tam, I thank you very much for joining me this week, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Best of luck for the rest of the season and have a good summer and the quest for next year. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Well, Scott, it's been great being on, mate. Thanks again.
Cheers,
Thank
pal.
you.
Thanks very much.
See you next season.
Thanks very much to everyone who's tuned in, folks. Please subscribe to our YouTube, podcast and Patreon. And as always, follow us on social media for consistent West of Scotland coverage. We'll see you all soon.